bring the beats, we can make it an all-nighter. Already got that Dutch road, nigga, give me the lighter. I pick the mic up, excite them like they on fire. I speak the truth, how can you impugn my rap? Doe got that old school AB, keep it in check, yo. I Haagen-Dazs it, my checks is direct deposit. Still small ism and no expense in my pocket. Macho Ran Savage, a rhyme.
Hello and welcome, guys. This is episode 6 of the Kyle Hartman Project. We are here with another week and another guest. This is my third guest in a row on the show. This guest is really cool for me, for the future of the Kyle Hartman Project, for the future of Hartman Media. And the reason being is this guest is a musician. I have my first artist on the podcast. And the reason that it's so cool to me is a lot of what I talked about with my first two guests, Ronnie Jackson and Antoine Way, was related to music. Hartman Media is going to be branding a lot of artists along with everybody else. And so music is just something that I know that I need to invest a lot of my own time into. I mentioned an app that is being worked on right now that I'm taking part in. That app is solely based around music for the first part of it being built. So it's really crucial that I start networking with a lot of musicians and a lot of talent throughout the country. And this is a great example of how I've been doing that with the project. I have a guest here who I've never met in person. This guy originally is from Washington, D.C. He now claims Dallas, Texas as his turf. He's been in the hip-hop, the rap game for quite a while, so it's going to be really interesting to see what he is about. His name is Doe Cigapom. That stands for Deliver on Emotion. Can I get a peace of mind? Doe, it is an awesome pleasure to have you on my show. It's Sunday morning. You're here with me. You did exactly what everyone else did so far for the show. You said, let's go after it. Let's go chase it down. Let's be awesome. And I can't thank you enough for coming on my show. I know we have a lot of awesome projects that we've talked about that we're going to talk about now on the show as well. So I want to let you have the floor. It's a great pleasure to have you on. Why don't you tell us about yourself, how long you've been in the industry, where you got your start, how you got your start, and kind of what your vision is in the music industry.
I didn't really get started in hip hop. I was always interested in music as a child. Into all types of music.
Right.
Literally every genre of music there probably could be. And where I'm from, there is a sound of music that we do play called go-go. It's like a jazz, funk, Afro, Latin infused sound, but more of a East Coast rhythm with beats.
Okay.
With a southern swing, as I can say, or a twang to it, as they say. Sometimes. I was playing the percussion as a kid growing up. So I fell in love with playing the congas and the timbales and the drums. But like I said, I was still always interested in the music, the sounds phonetically and everything. When the music of that at that time for me, the bands was getting a little, I guess, shady. You know what I mean? It was a lot of drama. I started in high school around 12th grade, off and on getting into poetry. One of my teachers got me interested in haikus.
Okay.
But I was very scared, and sometimes I'm still hard on myself with music because of the vocabulary. I like to always try to extend my vocabulary, even though I have a tendency to, write what's on my emotion or my heart at that moment, which is fine as well.
Right.
But yeah, the bands, I just got tired of the bands, and I just remember being around one of my buddies, and he told me, to try to recite one of my poems as a rap, and it wasn't written as a rap. But I really found a way to recite it as a rap. And he was in shock. So
that's one thing I can say about you is go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. So when he finished and looked at me like what are you doing? This is what you need to kind of do. And I'm like, because where I'm from in D.C. back in the day, you rapped, you was considered like a sucker, or like they'll say like a yo boy, one of the East Coast New Yorkers, or which we love New York rap, and we but just where we're from, we was all about go-go music.
There was just a lot of pressure if you ventured out into a different style. Yeah. And they're not used to people from your home literally dabbing into that type of music. But it wasn't until later on, around when I was thinking around 20, when I performed a song, and in front of a live crowd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember performing one of my songs, and I dropped the mic, and one of the guys, which I consider a teacher, almost like a big uncle,
a mentor,
looked at me like, his name is Enoch the Seventh Prophet. Big shout outs, but he looked at me and was like, had that face like, you better keep going, man. So I just rapped without the mic, and I realized then I had a very strong voice to rap with or without the mic. And I got great responses, and from then on it was a buzz.
And so you just went, you continued, you finished the song without the microphone?
Yes, sir.
Wow, that's awesome. And the crowd liked it, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, it was a buzz.
So you didn't give up, and it paid off.
No. I kept going at it, which I'm still going at it. And, that's just one of the things that I tell people from that story,
Right.
But getting out of the music, doing a lot of the traveling, sometimes it's free gigs, sometimes it's paid gigs, and learning the technical side of the music, which is getting your paperwork and
the business
LLC
side of things.
The business side. That's where it gets, a little tricky. It takes a long time to put out projects. Because you just can't put a photo and a CD cover up and here you go. You know what I mean? If you really want to make a living off of this,
you gotta have a plan.
Those type of things.
I said you gotta have a plan.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And networking as well, getting to know people such as you and others. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you said that, because what a lot of people are starting to understand about what we're trying to do here is, you as an artist, and there's a bunch of other artists that are interested as well. One thing that the project's going to do is talk to not only artists, but we're going to be talking to different studios and different producers from other places. And the fact that you said, it's a good opportunity to network and to talk to people like myself, I think that's the whole image of this project, and that's what I've been screaming every episode to the followers and to the to the few listeners that we have. Is that's where you really got to start, is just going out and whatever it is you want to do, you really got to start networking with whoever you want, really, whoever can help you achieve your goals. So yeah, that's really it. So you've been at it for a while now. What year did you put out your first, let's say, mixtape or album? Or EP?
If I'm not mistaken, it was 2010.
2010. So yeah, it's been some time.
Called the Culture Shock. Yeah, the Culture Shock. The Culture Shock 2012 AD EP.
And we'll have that on this YouTube video as well. They'll be able to see all of these things.
Yeah, that was getting my feet wet, I guess you would say. learning how to produce songs, and as far as writing and.
Now, were you in DC still at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how did that go? How did that turn out for you? What kind of things did you face? What kind of obstacles? Coming out with your first EP, and like you said, being from that area, and then having the different culture and different style back then around you. What kind of challenges did that bring for this EP to come out, and how did you kind of overcome all those obstacles, if there was any?
I mean, there was a lot, to be honest. Before, I even got to drop that music years before, I was in a psych ward for, trying to commit suicide. I fell into a very deep depression from, my childhood. It was very unfortunate, it's not relatable to a lot of people.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the typical cliche of growing up in the hood, but what I saw wasn't typical for a regular 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old.
Gotcha.
So, I grew up doing a lot of things that my parents forced me to do, all the way down to processing drugs, I would even say. So yeah, seeing a lot of murders and, just getting through all of that. I'm starting from childhood all the way up. It just brought me into the reason probably why I've gotten into writing.
So it made you strong to where you were able to prevail, and you kind of knew how to control yourself in situations, because of things that you had been, exposed to.
Yeah.
So you turned some negatives into some positives, I think.
Yeah. When I first started recording, my engineer used to tell me, man, the stuff you're talking about is depressing, and because it was coming from a depressing state.
Yeah.
More so asking for help, though. Like I said, I can talk to a lot of people that may have sold drugs or got into those type of things, or but they couldn't relate to my story, and that's where I felt alone in a lot of places. But writing, the force of that, just being forced to keep writing, and thanks to my engineer, I started to learn the actual process, just learning how to write songs with pain in them, and they don't necessarily have to be, they can be me personally, but you can put it out in characteristics.
Right.
I mean, in a form of characteristics of a person's name, and telling the story from Peter's perspective when it's really Doe's perspective. So just in this story, it's Peter.
And that takes a lot of the spotlight off of you, to where you feel less pressure to actually keep producing better work.
Yeah.
Or at least that's how I see it.
And I don't mind it.
So is that where, let's talk a little bit about the acronym Doe Cigapom. Is that kind of where that originated? Let me hear your side of the name.
Doe Cigapom came from, well, in my go-go band, they used to call me Doughboy. I'm a chubby guy. So I was Doughboy. But as I got older, I was literally in the living room, man, I was in the kitchen, as a matter of fact, back home. I wasn't living in D.C. at this time. I moved to Maryland. And I was just playing around with the word Doe, because I didn't have a name, what I really wanted to call myself. I was, creating music.
Right.
And I wrote Doe down. I wrote Doughboy. And then just out of nowhere, my mind just, broke it down into like D.O.E. And I just kept looking at that. Kept looking at it, and Deliver on Emotions just popped in my head. And I don't know why. I was like, wow, that's deep. For me, it was. like, can I get a piece of mind? Like, and that when that phrase popped up in my head, I broke it down into each first letter of the word, and and if I wanted to pronounce it, to me it's spelled Cigapom. So there's just no E at the end, but it's, you know, Cigapom.
Right.
And I pronounced it Doe Cigapom. And I asked, was like, well, you know, what would you like that as? You know, certain people, you know, if I named myself that, when I told them that, they was like, yo, that's dope. But I already felt comfortable with it. So I didn't care if nobody liked it or not. It was just, you know, wanted to see. And voila, Doe Cigapom. But,
I like it.
Deliver on emotion, and I get a peace of mind, and how I built the reasoning of that name, and the new meaning was another meaning that I stick with now. Like, as far as how I process music, is definitely is a great reason why I chose his name.
Definitely. And I think too, one thing that I really hope the people that listen in, I hope that they definitely check out some of your music. I will have every bit of information on this episode for them to be able to go, you know, check out some of your stuff. We're going to get your music incorporated in the episode, hopefully. So one thing I can tell everybody, if you guys don't listen to his music, is I love the name after I listen to music. I liked it before, but when you really hear how well his name kind of flows with some of the Doe has a very, very cool rhythm and a really like creative way that he raps. So for me, I thought it was really awesome to hear just how Doe Cigapom kind of flows with some of his music. So I really hope you guys do check him out, because he's really decent. And I'm going to be having a pretty continued relationship with him along our ways because of, like I said, just all of the people that I'm going to be meeting along the way that just really want to keep building projects with random strangers and acquaintances and just keep building their network. And so I'm really excited for you. I'm excited for everything we have to come. Let's get into a little bit about where you're going, what what plans you have for your future, things like that. For a lot of people that listen in now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I really hope that a lot of that audience is going to be people that are, that we can help. So I want to try to inspire people by showing them every vision of what my guest has, on the show. So let's talk about some of the things that you're going to be coming out with, whether it's music, whether you have plans to start other businesses or endeavors. Let's just kind of dig into that.
Well, yes, I'm in the process of, like I said, I'm trying to get all of this paperwork done, to whether I'm trying to figure out if I want to do an LLC or an actual incorporation with the music. Getting more of the music for the projects that I have coming out, paperwork done for that, trademarking, copywriting, getting scan codes, just working on all of that to learn more of the business side of distribution and
the operation.
Getting the whole operation of that, getting deeper into that. Otherwise than that, man, I'm just a regular guy. I have a family. I have no kids. I have a wife, though.
Okay.
But I'm just, a regular guy, man. I like to feed the homeless from time to time.
All right.
Yeah,
That's good. I mean, do you have any plans to do any shows anytime soon? Do you know of any, I know that I actually have he's actually an Army veteran friend of mine. We served together down in Georgia, but he actually just moved, I believe, to Houston. And I know he is just kind of getting his feet wet in Texas. And I told him, I said, the guy that I'm featuring on my next podcast, he's in music. He's been there for a while. So I'll talk to him. And so there's going to be a bunch of opportunities. Things that you're talking about as far as the operations side of the music. If you guys checked out the 4th episode that I had with Ronnie Jackson, Ronnie has True You Music Group, and he also has a label. And then also my 5th episode with Antoine Way, who is Ronnie's, they collaborate on a lot of things, but he has a media productions company as well as another music related company. So a lot of what we're going to be doing, like you said, you got a lot of operations things to learn. That's what this whole project is really going to try to build on, is just helping everybody kind of get to their next step, their next goal that they want to achieve. So we really encourage everybody to step up and be on the show, and I really want to talk to a lot more people. Doe, I think it's been a great pleasure having you on my show. I'm really looking forward to some of the new music you got coming out. He is going to be coming out with these EPs soon, and you guys really should check out his music because it's awesome. So I will leave the floor to you one last time, Doe, and then I'm going to leave our guests with our weekly quote, and we're going to wrap this thing up. And then I want you guys to check out the outro music too, because it's going to be Doe himself on the outro, and you've probably heard him on the intro as well already. So floor is yours, man. You have a couple minutes if you like. If not, we can wrap this thing up, and I think it was a great episode.
Definitely, man. I'm highly grateful for this, man. Hopefully, like I said, I can fly back out there and get to meet you in person as well. For anybody that's listening, definitely looking for some type of inspiration. I definitely say, be yourself. Be yourself when you have your down days, but always remember to get up. That's just the best thing about living. And keep pushing. You know what I mean?
And just know that
message, push until something happens. So that's the thing, man.
You got to know that the world's a great place when you gotta just go out and see it for yourself, and you'll see that there's plenty of people out there in the world that are doing wonderful things that would be more than happy to get you to your next step in life. So don't be afraid to talk to people. Really go out and try to network. If you want to start something and you just don't know how, or you don't know where to start, call me. Get a hold of me. Get a hold of Doe. Get a hold of any of my guests on this show, because I know that they would jump at any minute to help you. So feel free to get a hold of us. That's why we put out all of our links. And that's where we're going to leave it here for this episode. It's been a heck of an episode. We have 6 episodes now of the Kyle Hartman Project. We only have about 194 more to go until I can apply to put these on Spotify. So stay patient for that. Until then, we're going to keep putting out cool YouTube videos and just building up more and more content. Look for some partnership projects. I know Doe mentioned coming out here and meeting me in person. Hartman Media is just really going after some places, some companies to try to get some funding, some sponsorship. What we want to start doing is anybody that was on the Kyle Hartman Project, we want to get them involved in sort of building these projects together. So this network is actually going to have a purpose. So, Doe, some of these other artists that are coming on the show, some of these producers, some of these studios, I can make everything coordinate to where we all get together and we sit down in a studio. They meet each other. They meet other artists. We talk about ideas. We build business. We learn those operational tasks that we need to learn, and we just strive for greatness. And so I'm really glad that, we talked about some of the obstacles that you encountered in life, Doe, because it obviously has shaped you into an awesome human being who is doing wonderful things, especially with music and with poetry and writing. And so the quote that I want to leave everybody today with is, obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off of your goals. And that was by Henry Ford. He was a true inspiration. I look at a lot of his quotes on a regular basis. They're pretty motivating. And so I hope you guys all get some sort of motivation out of this, at least, if not more. Stay tuned next week. We're going to have our 7th episode. It's the 007 episode. I'm really trying to get creative with this one. Doe, it has been a great pleasure. I look forward to talking to you all tonight and tomorrow. We're going to release the podcast for everybody by Monday morning. So tomorrow morning, you guys will be able to check this out on your morning drive to work, whatever you need to do on your lunch break, at night, when you're in bed, however you want to do it, check us out. It's going to be some good stuff, and we will leave it there. You guys have a wonderful week.
In the land of the blind, the man with the one eye is the king. In the land of the blind, the man with the one eye.
I'm gonna introduce myself, nigga, as a rebel. You won't believe the shit that I'ma tell you. I've been to heaven, been to hell. You can't believe what the government is trying to sell you. A lot of bullshit inside the matrix. Are these the problems that we really facing? Do Illuminati really do pray to Satan? I pray to God, so nigga, fuck them statements. Pick your poison, hope your boys ain't really got your back when the slugs make noise in. Just know it's you that is God is chosen. That's the reason why the gates is open. You lie in the eyes to God is spying on you while you doing your thing. Hey, in the land of the blind, the man with the one eye is a king.
We need some real, we need some real, we need some real today.
In the land of the blind, the man with the one eye is the king. In the land of the blind, the man with the one eye is the king.
Lord, forgive me.